Welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about that later on. Speaking of later on, that's when our roundtable gang shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversies there, so stay tuned. And also some special guests with us to talk about some topics that are pretty important. So I hope you'll enjoy the whole half hour and stay with us. Now, I'm going to start out talking with a friend of mine. I feel like it's been ages since I've seen him because of the pandemic. We were going to get together right before then. He's finally here, and we're glad he is. With me right now, Dr. Bob Shackelford, President of Randolph Community College. Welcome, Doc. Good to see you.
Thanks, Jim. Always good to see you and glad to be here.
Well, we have a lot of good things we want to talk about, even in the midst of the pandemic. Now, you know, public schools, people know that public schools and colleges for a while, they did the whole online thing, so we know how to do that. But now let me ask you, do you have a specific date in mind as to when Randolph Community College is going to let people all in the classrooms and get back to that? When is the reopening?
Well, in the fall, we're going to reopen at the same time we were planning on it. That's August 17th. And we're not going to do the short semester like some of the universities are. We're not going to start early like some are. Or we're going to use the regular schedule, but we're going to do it in a hybrid fashion. It's not going to be just a stampede onto the campus. We're going to have some of our classes that are going to continue to be online, like our lecture courses. Some are hands-on type courses, like say at a community college, a welding class or an automotive class or machining class. Those are going to be hands-on, and they're going to be coming back to campus. And then some are going to be hybrid, like our healthcare programs. Some lecture, we'll do that online, and some of it is hands-on, clinical work. So it's going to be phased in, and we're going to use different delivery systems for different groups of students.
So you got that plan all ready to go, but now speaking of something that you had in place before, I think a little over a year ago, you put together something called Pathways to Prosperity. Let's remind everybody very quickly what that was about.
Well, Pathways to Prosperity is a collaboration among our local school systems, Randolph Community College, and people in business and industry. And we all met throughout the year. We had a different theme each year. We met throughout the year. And the purpose was to take students from high school through RCC into great careers in Randolph County. And so we worked together with a different theme. We had the first year advanced manufacturing as our focus. The second year was healthcare programs. And the third year was agriculture. And so the school systems, RCC, and people from those industries work throughout the year developing programs.
And it's worked pretty well.
Oh, it's been great. We've had a lot of good results from it. Out of the first year with advanced manufacturing, we ended up with the Apprenticeship Randolph program, which is one of the leading programs in the state. And the second year with our health care focus, we've ended up building a big new allied health center.
I want to talk about that because folks at home, he's just going to say we built, and that's, I want to brag on him for a second. They named this new health center after you, and if we had an applause audience track here, we would applaud you, but congratulations on that. That's quite an honor.
Well, thank you. I've never been more surprised in my life. They set up a ceremony that I thought was something else when I prepared my marks for a different kind of ceremony. And all these people are standing out there, and the chairman of the board gets up and announces this building is going to be named after me, and then here comes my family from all over the state, and I had no idea.
Quite an honor. But seriously, tell me, why was there a need for this new health center?
Well, we look at careers that are areas where people can get good careers in our community. Healthcare is valuable in every community. And there are always a need for nurses, for radiographers, and for other programs. And so it's a need that's going to be ongoing, and so we want to help meet that need. Because
it keeps growing and growing, and therefore you're going to be able to accommodate more students and more courses. I just think it's great. We just have a few seconds left. Just let me make a statement that I know you're going to agree with, but given what's been going on with the economy and everything, community college is going to be even more important than ever, right?
I don't think the state can recover in terms of the economy or the workforce without the community colleges. I think we'll be front and center in that recovery.
Absolutely. Up on screen is some information I'd really like you to have. Folks at home, randolph.edu. Go to the website, www.randolph.edu. Learn all about the course offerings and the things that you can take advantage of. It's a great place, and again, congratulations on having the health center named after you, sir.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it very much.
All right, Bob. We'll be right back. Now on Triad Today, we all at one time or another have watched these crime and law and order shows and things, and we think that makes us an expert. Well, I know I'm not an expert, and there's one thing I want to learn more about, and that's plea bargaining. We have an expert on that with us right now. And I turn to Patrick Apple, an attorney with Dummett, Fraden Attorneys at Law. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Here at the Senior Botanical Garden, which has special meaning for you because...
I was married here just a few years ago.
There you go. All right, so come on out and get married here. Patrick, what is plea bargaining and when is it appropriate?
Plea bargaining is basically a contract between a defendant and the prosecutor. It's where a prosecutor and a defense counsel usually, they negotiate some sort of arrangement where it often results in some dismissal of other charges. Oftentimes defendants are charged with multiple charges at once, and so it allows the defendant and prosecutor to come to an agreement on what charges they're really going to proceed with.
Now when you watch these TV dramas and everything, sometimes depending on the show they never want to plea bargain, and others that's all they want to do. How common, how prevalent is plea bargaining in real life?
In real life, there was a study done in early 2000s, that 96% of federal cases result in plea bargaining.
Wow.
And in state cases, 91% result in a plea bargain with a guilty plea.
Right. Now, you sent me an email one day because I didn't realize there were 3 different types of plea bargains. And so I'm going to rattle off each of those names that you emailed me about, and then just give me a little blurb on what they are. The first is, I guess, kind of obvious, but it's the guilty plea, so give me something on that.
A guilty plea is an admission to the court that you're guilty of the crime. It's not only an admission of guilt, but it's an admission of guilt to the factual basis in the charging document. All the facts are deemed as true.
But we didn't rehearse this or anything, but if you plead guilty, how is that a plea? In other words, you're guilty, you're guilty. I mean, aren't you going to get a harsh sentence anyway, or do you have to plead guilty to get concessions, or?
You have to plead guilty to get the benefits of a plea arrangement.
Okay,
so.
All right. Now the next one you sent me to talk about was the no contest plea, the no contest plea. What is that?
A no contest plea is similar to a guilty plea in that you're going to be treated as being guilty, but you're agreeing not to fight the charges. You're not contesting the plea being entered. It's beneficial because in civil court, oftentimes you're charged with a criminal case and there could be a companion civil case. A no contest plea means your admission of guilt or your guilty plea to a no contest, that cannot be used against you in civil court.
Okay, well now I understand that. And then you said there's something called an Alford plea, A-L-F-O-R-D, an Alford plea. What is that?
That's actually a case from North Carolina that made it all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. It allows a person who can factually maintain their innocence, but legally they're treated as being guilty. So it's when a person understands the state has enough evidence to proceed against them and likely win at trial, they can get the benefits of that plea bargain by getting some other charges dismissed while also maintaining their innocence, but still having a guilty plea entered against them.
That's amazing. Now, what are the overall benefits of plea bargaining? I know it sounds like a stupid question, but what are the overall benefits of plea bargains as opposed to just forget it, I'm going straight to trial?
For a defendant, the overall benefits are they get a firm resolution to their case. They're not hanging around waiting on a trial date. They get to kind of be an active player in their outcome. That's not left up necessarily to the court. They get to make that decision ahead of time. Oftentimes, it results in lesser charges, a lot of dismissals, and they can agree to their sentence ahead of time if a judge approves it, so they know what they're facing.
Okay. Now, a lot of times when we have time and we have a first-time guest on the show, I like to find out what or who motivated them or influenced them to go into law. So I'll throw the same question at you. Give me like 30 seconds on what caused you to want to go into the law?
I was a college football player at NC State University on the defense, and when I graduated college, I wanted to go do something that was still competitive. And so it's only natural that I'm a defense attorney, being a middle linebacker in college. Now I get to help people out and still have that competitive atmosphere.
A star defensive player helping, and now you're a star defensive attorney. I just think that's great, and because I know you get a lot of gratification out of that, and
it's a very gratifying job
in helping people. All right, well, Patrick, I want to put some information up on screen. www.dummettfraden.com. Dummettfraden.com is the website, or you can call 877-978-3218 if you need some help from guys like Patrick. Thanks for explaining this to me.
Thank you for having me here, Jim.
Will you come back sometime?
Anytime.
All right. We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today, and the special guest I have with me right now is a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, but more importantly, she's a really good friend of budding entrepreneurs in the area. and she's been on the show many times before. Next to me, Karen Barnes is Executive Director of Venture Cafe Winston-Salem. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jim. I love the new studio. This is fantastic.
Isn't this nice? I don't know when we're going to get back to ABC 45, but in the meantime, we had a lot of good feedback. And now, you know, you and David Mounts, the chairman and CEO of Inmar Intelligence, were very instrumental in trying to get the Venture Cafe here.
Yes.
Just for people that haven't watched the segments before, give 10 or 15 seconds on what Venture Cafe is.
Yep. So Venture Cafe is a global nonprofit. It's a network of cities around the world. And Winston-Salem was chosen about 3.5 years ago to be one of their first 5 sites around the world. But what we've really done recently is we are readapting our model here in Winston-Salem because we need some new things now. So the work that we have done in the last 3 years here in the Triad has been incredible. We have had Thursday gatherings for 3 years. We have reached over 6,000 people. We've created 54,000 hours of connectivity and programming. And we have helped hundreds and hundreds of budding entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I want to make sure the audience knows, in case they've just tuned into the show for the first time, because I've been to one of the meetings, and it's not just people sitting around chewing the fat.
Not at all.
It's networking, they're exchanging ideas, and then they
Yep.
take these ideas and the input that you and your speakers are doing, and the next thing you know, you'll be reading something in the paper, and some startup company has now hired 3 more people.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's a real link there. Now, you sort of indicated in your previous answer that you're looking to go in a little bit different direction. Now, what
Yeah.
kind of changes are you looking at?
Yeah. So we are forming a new nonprofit. It's going to be called Agile City. And we are going to be working on behalf of the entire ecosystem. So what does that mean? We are going to be pulling forward 2 very important projects that we started when we were organized as Venture Cafe Winston-Salem. And those are the Access Center for Equity and Success. The need for more opportunities for women and minority businesses is greater now than ever. We believe this is a true moment for the Access Center to make a huge difference in terms of real supplier diversity. So we are going to be really doubling down on the Access Center for Equity and Success. The other thing that we are really going to be launching is the Venture Winston Grants for Startups. This is a public-private partnership we have put together with Forsyth County, the City of Winston-Salem, some private investors. We're going to be running a global startup competition and awarding grants to up to 20 startups to relocate to Winston-Salem
Wow.
for a year.
Wow.
Right. So there are other gaps that we need to fill in the ecosystem, but those are the 2 things we're going to get started with.
Why do you think there's a need for Venture Cafe now more than ever? We're still in the midst of a pandemic where the
Yeah.
economy has really tanked.
Yeah.
People are looking to, have been thrown out of jobs.
Yeah.
Sort of wrap all this into that. I mean, why is your organization so important now?
Actually, that's one of the big reasons we have chosen to pivot to this new Agile City model. So anytime the economy tanks, you're going to have what I like to call opportunistic entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs by necessity. People will see new problems that need to be solved in the new reality, but then you'll also have a lot of people who have been put out of work who say, I need to support myself and my family. How can I start a business? Because they've now seen that typically having a job really isn't secure.
Right, that's right.
So that was one of the things. We took a step back and we said, are Thursday gatherings the most important and impactful thing that we can be doing right now for our city's economy? And the answer was no. And so we've stepped back. We're going to reorganize as Agile City. We are going to focus on more direct impact, creating more startups, more jobs, and more opportunities to help really further accelerate the development of our innovation economy, but also do it in a way that is much more equitable.
I think we should change your title from executive director to executive cheerleader.
I'll do it. Let's do it.
Has anybody? That should be it. That should be a new title.
I also had someone suggest to me a new title the other day as chief agitator. I will totally do that.
Yeah, I think I've had that title myself. Up on screen, venturecafewinstonsalem.org. And for the radio listening audience, venturecafewinstonsalem.org. Please check that out. And our thanks again to David Mounts and his team, Shannon and everybody over there who have suggested this segment and brought Karen on. Inmar Intelligence, and the website is inmar.com. Karen Barnes, thanks.
Thank you so much, Jim. Always a pleasure to be here.
And you'll come back, won't you?
Always.
All right. We'll be right back. On Triad Today, and I'm always excited when we get somebody come over from UNCG because it's my alma mater, although they don't claim me. I don't know what that means. But next to me, this lovely lady, Stephanie Irby-Cord, Associate Professor and Director of Graduate Studies in the Human Development and Family Studies area at UNCG. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we could do 3 hours about your areas of study, but let's try 5 minutes and see where that gets us.
Let's try.
I know you're a psychologist, and I know you're a researcher. Now, bringing those two disciplines together, what's been the focus of your work at UNCG?
Okay. Well, yes, I am a clinically trained psychologist. Love research, love teaching. And my work really focuses on thinking about race and ethnicity and culture and the psychological implications of that. How does that affect human development, and how does it affect family functioning?
Now, you sent me an email one day and said that on this focus, you used the term racial ethnic socialization.
Yes.
What is that exactly, and why is it important?
Yes. Racial ethnic socialization is basically the process by which typically parents and families teach their children about who they are as racial and ethnic beings, what that means, and how to feel good and how to embrace that meaning. And it also informs how you interact with others.
Yeah. Boy, I tell you, we didn't rehearse this or anything, but it really breaks my heart that some of these prejudices get passed down and passed down and passed down, which you would think it would be the opposite, that they sort of peter out, but they don't. They're passed down.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any, again, I know I'm putting you on the spot, and we weren't supposed to talk about this, but how do you solve that issue where something should be diminishing, but it keeps increasing?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm doing through my research is, along with a few of my colleagues, is developing a video series. An online free video series that helps parents to navigate, negotiate those conversations. So currently right now we have a video series called One Talk at a Time, because racial socialization is not just one talk, it's many talks.
Right.
So one talk at a time, and we have a video series that addresses this with Black, Asian, and Mexican families.
And I'm glad you said it's a series, because it frustrates me when somebody says, yeah, I'm going to do something about racial justice. We're doing this one talk.
Oh,
well, you
no.
can't, I mean, there has to be a substantive effort made in this thing and
it has
ongoing.
to be multiple conversations.
It sounds like you got a good plan going. Now, where do you go from here? What's the crystal ball tell you?
Well, it's interesting. We've gotten very positive feedback in terms of our online survey, as well as just anecdotally working with families. But we are actually now in the process of planning a video series for white families. How to teach your children to be white allies, how to teach them to be anti-racist, and how to help them to be part of the solution.
Now, but Stephanie, how do I phrase this? A lot of times you and I are singing to the choir.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you get white families engaged that maybe otherwise wouldn't look at this? Are you just hoping because people are so into social media that they're going to find it, or what?
Well, actually, we decided to do this because we were getting so much feedback about the other video series that we were doing, and white families were like, well, what about us? White parents who were really interested in having these discussions, who really embrace diversity, want their children to be exposed to different cultures and really be part of peaceful coexistence.
Yeah.
And so it's really from a result of what parents have asked us to do. And so there are parents out there wanting to do this, and I think it's going to be a great effort and make it for a complete discussion.
Now, I have a website that you sent me, and I want to make sure, because my eyesight isn't what it used to be, but I think it's www.caminoslab.
Yes.
That's C-A-M-I-N, for the radio listening audience, C-A-M-I-N-O-S-L-A-B, caminoslab.org/one talk. That gets you directly to what Stephanie was talking about. And I also want to give a plug to the general website of the university, uncg.edu. We have about 30 seconds left. Let me put you on the spot again. Why did you want to go into education? Was it a teacher or a parent or an uncle or an aunt or?
You know, I don't know. I think I was always interested in working with families and children and interested in teaching, and just wanted to use my passion for diversity and wanting to be community engaged, and I wanted to use that to, to empower other students.
And we're all glad that you did, because we're just so proud of you, and thanks for everything you do for the community.
Well, thank you, Jim.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today, as we continue to come here from the lovely Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. Please visit seniorbotanicalgarden.org, and hope you will do so. Also pick up your copy of Yes Weekly. Hope you'll enjoy my column about Robert Wagner in there this week. It's free, But, you know, Ogi wants to charge for the roundtable, you know, but folks, you can just watch it for free. They can watch it for free, can't they? All right, on my right is Ogi Overman, but always on the political left, the great broadcaster journalist. We're privileged to have back behind him, sort of socially distant, Rhonda Foxx, who's a former chief of staff for various congresspersons and knows all the ins and outs of politics. She's a Greensboro attorney, and bringing out the rear there is, and I mean that affectionately, Keith Granberry. Yeah, Keith Granberry is founder of Helping Hands Consultants. And let's get with it. Last week, now Rhonda wasn't here last week, but Keith and Ogi and I talked about the soccer coach who says, hey, we shouldn't play our national anthem before sports. Well, now comes word from the NFL that the black national anthem, or as we know, Lift Every Voice, it's a beautiful anthem, will be played prior to the start of all games in week 1. Now here's my question. Will having a separate anthem for people of color help or hinder race relations in America? Ogi.
No, I think it's a great gesture to do for week 1. I don't think it would work every week, but week 1 is perfect. It's a beautiful song, too.
I disagree. I don't understand the value of it. That's a performative protest. The NFL has billions at its access. It could invest in communities of color. It could do other things to address systematic inequity.
Mr. Granberry.
Robert Goodell blackballed Colin Kaepernick for years, and he would not allow this man to play a professional because he was protesting systemic racism, and he knew that's what he was doing.
Is this payback?
This is absolute. Number one, this is, I don't even think it's worth it. I think they need to move on to hiring black general managers and getting a black owner in the NFL. That would be the change that I would like to see. That would be
substantive.
Absolutely.
That would be substantive. All right, it's a pretty anthem, though. The Houston Association of Realtors, now this one kind of gets me. The Houston Association of Realtors says it has ordered its realtors, no longer will they use the term master bedroom when they're showing a home. They have to say, I'm taking you to the primary bedroom, because they say it has racist connotations. Now, is this a respectful gesture or an overreaction? Ogi.
Well, I do respect the gesture, but really, I mean, you look at master, it has several definitions. I don't read racism into that one.
We have an attorney in our midst. What do you think?
I really thought this was an Onion article when I first read
that.
But
it's true, isn't it?
It is true. The most discriminatory practices that we have are within the housing market. And realtors thought that the solution to the moment was to get rid of the term master for a bedroom. Absolutely not.
All right, Keith.
I am the master of my bedroom. That's all I have to say.
What the heck are you?
It's my bedroom. They need to do something a little different.
So your bedroom is not the primary bedroom?
No, my bedroom is not the primary. Right. No, not at all.
Let me change subjects for a second. This is one of my pet peeves. Each year, fireworks are responsible for thousands of injuries and deaths in this country. Now, I know because of the pandemic, they cut back on a lot of it, but still, that just gave more fireworks, put more fireworks in the hands of amateurs. Should we outlaw fireworks displays by anybody except a select number of professionals, Ogi?
It would not hurt my feelings a bit. I mean, my dogs go crazy, and every other dog does too. Yeah, I would not have a problem with that at all.
Rhonda.
I am a dog lover. We gotta ban them. They drive dogs crazy.
Mine for 2 days, my dog was upset. Yeah. But you have complaints from nursing homes, and I mean, this is a serious thing, and injuries and fatalities. Keith, what do you think?
I think you have to ban them because every year thousands of people get hurt and injured based on fireworks, and I think you have to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of fireworks, the race for governor is heating up, but in every poll I've looked at, I think I looked at 8 different polls. Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest is getting trounced by the Democratic incumbent Roy Cooper. Here's my question. Can Cooper do anything at this point to lose this race? Ogi.
Well, there's not much fireworks in that race, Jim. I don't see I can't imagine what Cooper could do to blow this. I really can't. Forrest is just kind of a doofus, you know.
All right, you're the political expert, Rhonda. Is there anything the governor could do to lose it?
Knock on something, never say never. Something could happen, but it would have to be extraordinary. I think Cooper has shown strong leadership through COVID. He has moved us in the right direction, and Dan Forest just comes out with crazy every day. Every day is something crazy.
Keith.
I think there is something that he could do, even though it would be far-fetched. He could get married to Mike Pence. But other than that, I don't Other than that, I don't think there's anything this man can do in order to lose this race.
A lot of studies are saying that it would be better for relationships between police and residents, all residents, if police were required by law to live in the city that they work. Very quickly, Ogi, you agree?
Well, it's a great idea, and it's a good plan, but to require it, it's just logistically, it's pretty much impossible to do.
Rhonda,
No, that's not going to work.
not going to require it.
Not going to work.
Keith,
What I would like for them to do, you know, everybody's coming up with these far-fetched ideals when it comes to race relations. Why don't they hire people from the communities that they live in, from these communities, and let them be a part of the community? I don't care if you live in the community, but if you're from that community, then you will make a difference.
Do the hiring from there.
That is about race relations.
all right, finally, on a different note, researchers at the National Sleep Foundation, this is real data now, the National Sleep Foundation say that wearing your socks to bed at night has a lot of benefits, including keeping your feet warm. Also, it can increase your sex drive by 30%. Guys and gals, do you wear socks to bed? Ogi.
Here we go again. That's real data, I'm sure, Jim.
It is.
Yeah, right.
Do you wear socks to bed?
I shouldn't say this.
But you are.
I have to, there's monsters under my bed, and I have to have pillows on my feet when I go to sleep
Right.
at night. But I don't know.
Pillows, but not socks.
Not socks.
Miss Foxx.
A lady never says.
I know it. The attorney is speaking. All right, Keith, do you wear socks to bed at night?
I wear socks everywhere. I don't go anywhere without socks.
All right.
I'm always wearing socks.
Too much information and none from Rhonda. All right, well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. The health inspectors from the state of Florida went into this pizza parlor and found a dead iguana in the freezer of the pizza parlor, which may explain a recent complaint from one of the customers who said, hey, you know, these anchovies taste funny. You understand that at all, Ogi? For all of us here on Triad Today, except for Keith, we're going to talk about his primary bedroom. I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.